Wow. I mean, just wow. I've talked before about their questionable marketing tactics, and I even said I would consider it, but it's almost impressive the amount of self-inflicted PR damage that's going on here. With zero fanfare, no press releases, and not even a heads-up email to their customer base that this was coming, Waves has gone subscription only. So we're going to talk about it, discuss the rollout, look at what's being offered and at what price, and talk about how Waves has literally overnight managed to piss off everyone with their continued corporate hostility towards their customers. And yes, warning, another Waves rant is incoming. What is happening, everybody? This is Dave Croft, and welcome back to another episode of the 52Qs podcast, a weekly podcast dedicated to all things production and library music, where we talk about industry topics and take deep dives into the different aspects of being a working production music composer. Plus, in my Year of Taxi update, we're going to check in on any returns or forwards and take a listen to this week's submission, which is a return to Pulsing Tension. And then a little bit later on, I'm going to give my thoughts on a Pulsing Tension cue written by 52Q's community member, Jenny Goodspeed, so you definitely want to stick around for that. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad you found me, however you found me. I know you have a ton of options out there, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio on the go. I just want to thank you for spending part of your day with me. I also want to give a special word of thanks to the family, friends, and patrons of 52Qs who help keep the podcast, the channel, everything we do here going. We're 100% community supported, so you're not going to hear ads for mattresses or meal plans. But if you want to learn more about how you can help support 52Qs and also unlock extra perks like live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, and a ton more, then be sure to click on the links in the description or stick around, because we're going to be talking much more about that a little bit later in today's episode. So let's jump into my Year of Taxi update, where this week I have submitted another Pulsing Investigative Tension cue, but first I did get feedback on both Baller Envy and Gotta Get Medieval, and I am happy to report that both of those got a forward. Both Baller Envy and Gotta Get Medieval got a forward. And so listening to, let's dial up Baller Envy here first. And shout out to Screener 419. Thank you, 419. Baller Envy says, I like the haunting and ominous mood created by the top line melody, pads, and piano. Good trap hip-hop beat. I like the development, editing, and layering. Goes on to say that it works well as is, and was forwarded because nice option for drama, tension, and suspense hip-hop. So that was Baller Envy. Gotta Get Medieval. The notes for that was cool hip hop trap cue. I like the flute melody, dark, ominous, and suspenseful vibe for light drama and mystery. Nice movement, development, and variation. Also works well as is. And I forwarded this song because nice production, movement, and variation for drama and light suspense. So really, really happy that Gotta Get Medieval and Baller Envy were sent along to date. So that, I think that brings me up to eight forwards, and still no, I've not gotten a heads up or gotten reached out to buy a library, but that's fine. That's part of the whole. That's part of the whole thing, right? So we had a couple of investigative tension cues, 3 investigative tension cues get forwarded in hip hop. So speaking of investigative tension, this week, again, I'm kind of staying in my wheelhouse, and I probably, I mean, you get some returns and those sting a little bit, but I want to make sure that I'm not experimenting in Taxi. And what I mean by that is, like to learn how to write cues, I don't think Taxi is necessarily the best way to learn how to do that, because it's the analogy I've used before. It's like trying to learn how to barbecue by entering barbecue competitions. You can learn to do that. You can learn how to smoke ribs by bringing out your Weber kettle and going up next to folks who have been doing it for years, who have like all of the gear and everything. You can absolutely get an education that way, but it's not necessarily the best, and you'll take your lumps. So I at least until maybe I get a reach out from a library, I'm sticking pretty close to my lane a little bit. And so this week I am returning to pulsing investigative tension instrumentals needed by a top-notch production music library with tons of placements. And the library is brand new. So that's cool. So they're new to the library. That means hopefully if they reach out, that will be a new relationship that I can add, because I think I've submitted briefs to taxi listings for libraries that I'm already in. I think that's happened before. I don't know for sure. Looking for stylistic ball parts. We have a Mac Quail. We have some game. We have the Gone Girl game. This is Beyond Human, I think. Some Bleeding Fingers, and another new one. I'm a huge fan of Bleeding Fingers, and their Spotify is stellar. I think they're some of the best in the business as far as album concepts and all of that. Anyway, go on to say, please send them well-composed instrumental cues that evoke a suspenseful, tension-filled vibe and feel that is oozing with dark, moody energy that could work well for a variety of investigative scenes in TV shows and film. The submission should have engaging motifs, so that means melodic ideas, pulsing rhythms, and solid arrangement centered around a central motif with layers, forward motion, dynamics, and interest. Your instrumentation can range from orchestral-based to electronic to hybrid, and should fall in the wheelhouse of the references. Whichever approach you choose to take, please be sure the production is polished, virtual sounds and sampled are high quality, state-of-the-art. And if you have tracks that could enhance, complement, and create an overall uneasy tone and mood, send them in. So they're looking for 90 seconds to 3 minutes with non-faded endings. And I think I've mentioned this before. I like the fact that that Taxi has started to add into their listings the cut down requirements, the fact that you will need to submit a 60, a 30, and a 15, and educating us on those cut downs, I think is helpful to list in there. So the cue that I wrote this week is called Big Girls Don't Crime. And we'll refresh this and get this started over. So Big Girls Don't Crime. So that was Big Girls Don't Crime, another pulsing investigative tension cue that I have sent off, and I have one more. This actually closes today, and so I'm going to go ahead and submit a second investigative tension cue. Because, yeah, I really, really enjoy them. And I thought it was really interesting that in the feedback for my hip hop cues, that kind of tension, drama, suspense, I don't know, it just kind of finds its way into nearly all of my cues, regardless of style or genre. So that's it for my Year of Taxi update. Oh, waves. Here we are yet again. Now, last year, I think it was August, I talked at length about Wave's business practices, how it was kind of a subscription service already, just kind of done in the shadiest kind of way. I likened it to Columbia House and the BMG Music Services, or BMG, and how it was just icky. It was just kind of icky. So imagine my surprise when on Monday, a member of the 52Qs community member, I think it was Michael Reschke, hey Mike, posted up in the boards there, in the discussion forum, that Waves has gone subscription only. And I thought that's really weird, because on Friday, I got this email. Standard Waves business. In soon. Make your mixes hot. Plugins and bundles from $29.99. Shop now. Buy one, get the second one for 10%. This is absolutely standard operating procedure for Waves. I've gotten tons of these emails. This was on Friday. And I went back, looked through my emails, and on Sunday, I got this email on Sunday. So Friday, they're selling me plugins along with, I think, like the update plan. Well, I don't see the update plan, but yeah, they're selling me plugins on Friday. And then Sunday, introducing Waves Creative Access. Create with total freedom. Dear Waves customer, since we started Waves, our goal has been to give all music and audio creators full, affordable access to the largest, most diverse set of top quality audio tools. Today, we take the next step. Whatever you're inspired to create, we want you to have everything you need instantly at your fingertips. Always. To make this a reality, today we launch a full-scale Waves plugin subscription, Waves Creative Access, which is now the exclusive way to get Waves plugins. All Waves plugins, always up to date with new releases as well as updates added at no extra cost. All available to you with a simple subscription, the easiest, most affordable way to get Waves plugins ever. On the last podcast, on that episode, where, I went ham on Waves, I said, if they release a plugin, if they release a subscription, I would be on board, or I'd at least consider it. Even said $100 a year, $200 a year. Yes. But Waves, oh, what are you doing? To make this subscription only is a giant mistake. I mean, not to mention, is this email that was sent out on Friday, is this email from a company that looks like they're about to dramatically change their business model? Does that email look like that? Does this look like the email of a company who's about to make you, the customer, change the way you interact with their product? Fundamentally change. Because, and here's where Waves just keeps punching themselves in the crotch. If you have Waves plugins right now and you don't subscribe, the clock is ticking on your plugins. The clock's ticking. They've already proved it. Do you think a company that does this is going to keep supporting their software? I'm going to go ahead and tell you no, because I have several Waves plugins, and I went to go click on Get the Waves Update Plan, and boop, none of your products can be updated to the latest version. There are no registered products. Extended Waves Update Plan. Okay, let's click here. Now what happens? As of March 26, 2023, the Waves Update Plan can no longer be extended for Waves plugins, which are now available as subscription only. I'm still here, by the way. Your podcast didn't break. I am stewing in my incredulity, if that's the right way to pronounce that word. So not only will my plugins break, and they will break, but now I can't update them through the wonky, backwards, Gestapo-esque way that they had done it before, which felt like extorting money from you. All right, I'm using very charged language here, and I didn't know I was this upset about it, but I think I am. Which means the handful of plugins that I did update, they're on the clock. Vocal Writer, which I use daily. I use Vocal Writer on this very podcast that you're listening. I use Waves plugin for that. I think Vocal Writer is fantastic. Parenthetically, if you're watching and you know of a good alternative to Vocal Writer, let me know, because I'm jumping ship. Because you know what? I'm not going to get a Wave subscription. I know my last thumbnail said, I'm done, but I'm really, really done. This is so messed up. This is so messed up because now I can't a la carte update the plugins that I already have, that I've already updated. And they're updated for a while, right? So at least until August, which is when I installed my new Mac Studio. So when Logic updates or when the OS updates, there's a non-zero chance that these plugins will break. And my only recourse is to subscribe to Waves or GTFO. And I am officially choosing the latter because I can't even anymore. I can't even abide these handful of plugins. And all of these other ones, some of them work, some of them don't. You know, back when I bought like the gold package that they well, okay, I don't need to relitigate the last podcast I did on this. But I mean, yep. So if you have Waves plugins right now, they're going to break. And I think subscriptions are fundamentally, I think they're okay. They're not my favorite thing. And if I'm being honest, I'm finding myself kind of moving away from them. I find myself like I've already canceled Output by Arcade. Or is it Arcade by Output? I honestly can't recall what the company name is first. I think it's Output is the name of the company. But I've canceled that. I'm resisting using like Reason. I have a Reason subscription. It's an annual thing, and it just up to November, but I find myself not reaching for it when I'm producing because I'm like, okay, you know what? Do I want to really get into this? Because if I use it and the subscription runs out, but at least I know if I really, really want it, I can just go buy Reason standalone. I think it's still offered as a standalone. Same with East West. I get East West through an educator discount, and it's fantastic. And that really is, I mean, that's huge, the amount that they give you. Will it ultimately be cheaper for me to just buy the handful of East West plugins? Probably, but I think I'm still a few years out from that. But I'm finding myself resisting putting plugins that I know are a subscription because I think, what if in the future I don't have that subscription and it breaks? I've already seen that with some of these Waves plugins. But again, I don't want to necessarily relitigate that whole concept of whether or not subscriptions are right or wrong. It's really about Waves and how they're doing it and how I know that these plugins will break, and my only recourse is to subscribe. Now let's talk about what they're offering here. It's called Creative Access, and they have the Studioverse, which don't really want to get into. It's supposedly it's AI. I think people are using the term AI that not really. I mean, you keep using that word, but I don't think it means what you think it means. Anyways, we'll maybe touch on that. But Creative Access, the price. And this is where I think this is where it was like an automatic, that's going to be a no for me, dog, is monthly. It's $15 a month for 110 plugins. And which plugins are included? Probably not the ones you want. Let's see if they even have Vocal Writer. Sort by plugins name. See if Vocal Writer. I'm looking at this for the first time here. Okay, Vocal Writer is in the 110. And what about the one knob? And the one knobs. All right. Now, is one knob and vocal, you know what? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. $15 a month. Or if you pay annually, it is $150 a month, which is too much. I would consider $10 a month or $99 a year for not all of them. I would not pay $150 a year for not everything. And I sure wouldn't pay $250 a year for everything. Whereas if you pay, that's annually. If you pay monthly, it's $25 a month. Why? And then you get 2 months of Splice for free. I mean, that's cool. Why make these two tiers? Again, it's like finding the only rake in the entire yard and managing to step on it. Completely self-inflicted wounds here. Why make the two tiers? Why complicate things here? Just make the one. Make the one, offer everything for $15 a month. It's super easy. Now you've created these tiers that gets complicated. It's too expensive. $150 a year for not everything. It's too much. It's too much. It's not an automatic thing. And this is coming from someone who has subscription-based products. The family subscription, the friend subscription, we're about to raise our prices, but it's because I believe the value we offer is exceptionally high. So I get tiered systems and all of that. I get it. But again, this is not the way we do it. And how you roll it out is to send press releases. There are 0 press releases. The last press release that I see on their website is from February 1st. How you don't roll it out is sending an email to your customers saying, let's see, March 26th was Sunday, sending an email to your customers on the day it all changes. You can't do that, Waves. You can't do that. You can't do that. So no warning, no heads up, no email, no press release, just Sunday, this is the way it is. You're going to like it. And the ticking clock on your plugins, unless you do that. So many missteps here. And so I would love to know, let me know, Vocal Writer, what's my Vocal Writer options? I want out. Officially, I want out. I want out of the One Knob series as well. So if you know of a really, really good plugin like the One Knob Pressure, I think it's fantastic. It's my go-to sidechain. Whenever I need a sidechain compression for drums, it's just so easy. I don't want to fiddle with a bunch of little compression. I can, but I don't want to. And the One Knob just makes it easy. That's my kind of plugin. Are you gonna sign up for the Wave subscription? I don't know of anybody who thinks this is a good idea. I don't know anybody who's like, yep, this is what I want. And if you're going to do this, if you're going to roll out a subscription, offer people a choice. Offer people a choice. Make them also available for sale. Now, I can't begin to imagine the back end that goes into that. I've seen what happens when it can go sideways. See also East West, when they had their Platinum, they had their Cloud, and then Cloud Plus, and then Cloud X, and all these different tiers, and it got really complicated. And if you subscribed on one level, then what they're doing is essentially giving you a gold license. And then if you upgrade, then they're giving you a platinum license, which then overwrites your gold license, but your plugins are gold plugins. And so I can't imagine the headache of navigating and keeping track of all of that. So maybe they just, went, screw it. We're just going to pull the Band-Aid off, and this is what it is. And we are going to triage from the fallout on the other side of this. And this is what I think they're doing. They're in triage mode right now. And I've seen a couple of other YouTubers who have spent more time with Waves than I have. One, I think, Barry Johns, who went off. And so I'll link to that video in the description so you can check that out. And he made a fantastic point, which was they're not even all those new of a plugins. They're old plugins with old UI. And if they release a new plugin, it's essentially an old plugin with maybe an updated interface, and they throw a name brand on top of it. It reminds me, as far as that goes, it reminds me of drug manufacturers who will release an antacid and then release an antacid with aspirin and then call that a new medicine. And, trademark it and patent it and all of that. That's kind of what it reminds me of. For a long time, Waves was the only name in town. They were the biggest name in town. And now I think they are just coasting on that legacy. Meanwhile, really, I think, again, really taking advantage of their customers, their customer base. And this is just not how you do it. You don't flip a switch overnight telling your customers to get bent. This is the way it is. This is the way it's done. So are you going to do it? Are you going to sign on to Waves? And If so, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear. And maybe this is the final nail in the coffin for me, just jumping completely off the subscription train. But this feels really gross. And so I need a new Vocal Writer plugin. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. I do read all of those comments and do make an effort to respond. So I think that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I had to cover it. I couldn't not talk about what Waves has done and how just hostile they seem towards their customers and doing everything, finding the wrong way to do it nearly every single time. Let me know in the comments below. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to be checking out a pulsing tension cue from 52Q's community member Jenny Goodspeed. But first, here are a few words from Mrs. 52Q's Shannon Croft to tell you all about the community.
Hey y'all, I'm Shannon Croft, and I want to tell you that the 52Q's podcast is made possible by viewers and listeners just like you, composers and producers who are looking for a better way to connect and collaborate. You see, 52Q's isn't just another website selling static, pre-recorded videos to a mass audience. It's a fun, vibrant, and positive community that comes together online for sharing cues, getting feedback, and discussing what's up in the production music industry. You'll find both personalized feedback and live interaction, which are the best and fastest ways to grow your skills and earn more placements. The best part is that the 52Q's community is absolutely free. And when you're ready to take your career to the next level, we offer friends and family subscriptions, which unlock weekly live streams, live interactive group feedback sessions, monthly interactive workshops, and more. Head over to 52qs.com and sign up today. And while you're there, check out our personalized feedback videos, private lessons, and of course, merch. I can't wait to see you at 52qs.com.
That was Beneath the Surface by Jenny Goodspeed. This was submitted during our week 12 weekly feedback threads. We put weekly feedback threads every week at 52Qs. And so Jenny said, I watched Dave's awesome mixing and mastering workshop and some other electronic mixing tutorials and took another stab at pulsing tension. Well, thank you very much. Glad you got a lot out of that workshop. And I think there is a lot to love about this cue. First of all, love the title. Title's fantastic. And the pulses are really, really good throughout. I'm wondering, since I know that you're working on mixing, I feel like, first of all, we're too loud. Our peaks didn't clip over 0.0. I would set our peaks to no higher than -0.2, but to be safe, probably want to keep those closer to -1 or so. But even the loudness, by the end, we were getting into the 8 integrated LUFS. I think we should really live between -12 and -14 LUFS. I notice over on the SoundCloud page that you posted here that it did seem quieter, and that's because SoundCloud will adjust that loudness. I think it's -12 over on SoundCloud, but a lot to like here as far as the pulsing goes. But it's the loudness, I think, that's going to do us. And I feel like some of the sounds have some distortion, and it's so loud that I can't tell if that is a choice or if we're actually clipping, if we're distorting. And in general, I feel like the high ticking percussion and the cymbal swells can come down in the mix. Yeah, right there. You can actually see it pop through the mix here. Yeah, this area right in here, everything from about 2K up to 3.5K. It's just really, really aggressive. So I feel like it's a little too harsh up in there. And so I would back those down. In fact, I think you could probably get away with backing down any sustained sounds, any of those effects, anything that's not the pulse or the melody, I think can be brought down in the mix. I love all the pulsing here. And I would have, from an arrangement standpoint, I would have jumped out into a breakdown a phrase earlier. So I would have jumped into the breakdown right there. And yeah, because we got into it around 1:05, but the overall cue is only 1:50 or so, 1:45. Your button is hitting, button is hitting right around 1:48 or so, 1:47. And so, yeah, I think we could get into our breakdown a little bit earlier. Speaking of breakdown, I feel like we could have gone down a little bit further energetically. However, I wouldn't change up the rhythmic aspect of the pulse here. That's a great edit point. So you go from 16th note pulses to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that felt a little jarring to me. What I would have done was I would have kept the, but I would have maybe filtered the bass. So it's like, so it's still cooking underneath the surface. But all those dotted quarter, eighth, accents, I just think it shifts up the rhythmic energy too much. And so we're already downshifting our energy by pulling out some textures. We don't want to change textures and change the overall rhythmic aspect of the cue. I think that's a bridge too far here. And see, we bring back in the 16ths here. I think we probably could have brought those aspects in and just filtered them down a little bit. I think that could have accomplished. Oh, and by the way, while I'm thinking of it, let's clean up our the beginning of the cue. We've got a little bit too much dead space. We have almost a second of silence, over a second of silence, and so it doesn't actually start until about right here. So yeah, I would definitely bring that in. I like to leave no more than 200 milliseconds of silence at the top. And then there were a couple of things that felt a little mono. And I don't know if it's a weird phasing thing, but that little scrape felt a little mono-y. And your melody feels a little Feels a little mono. I don't know if it needs a little bit more stereo spread. In general, I love all the stereo work you have going on in here. I think it works really, really well. Now, you ended on this note, which is probably, technically tonic, but we've been spending the entire cue with this tone. Right, so it feels more like this is tonic, just a mode of tonic, could be Dorian or whatever, but this, did we ever go to that chord before? Yeah, I think we did, but it just doesn't feel like tonic. I think I would end on that note. Just really depends on if you consider that tonic or if that's a chord tone of your root chord. I just don't feel like this is tonic because that's not what we're hearing in our bass. No, in theory, music theory wise, it's kind of a gray area, but I would end on that note. But otherwise, yeah, really, really dug this. Thank you so much for sending this along. Like I said, this was sent along during our week 12 weekly feedback thread. We do put weekly feedback threads together every week, and right now we are looking at cues for week 13. And one of these cues I will be featuring on this upcoming episode. And so if you enjoyed that, if you found that helpful and you would like feedback on your own cues, then head over to 52cues.com/coaching, where you can order your own feedback video where I give you feedback on all of the aspects of your cue, everything from title to mix to master to music theory side of things to form, structure, harmony, all of that. If that's something you're interested in, head over to 52cues.com/coaching. And while you're there, you can also check out my one-on-one Zoom coaching sessions and our mastermind, which we are still enrolling for the spring 2023 mastermind. Seats are still available and payment plans are also available. We'd love to have you over there. So that's going to do it for me this week. You definitely want to tune in next week, where I promise I will be rolling my interview with Josh Siegel, editor who lives out in LA, and we're going to be talking about what editors really, really want. But that's going to do it for me. Once again, a huge thanks to all of the family, friends, and patrons who help keep the lights on here. Thank you so much. Just know that I love and appreciate you. But yeah, I hope you had a fantastic week 12, and I look forward to hearing all about your week 13, because remember, friends, I know that the universe has amazing plans just for you. Until next time, peace. The 52 Cues podcast is copyright 2023 818 Studios, all rights reserved. The music played on the podcast is copyright of their respective owners and is used with permission and for educational purposes only. For more information, including joining the community and submitting your cue for consideration on the podcast, head over to 52cues.com.